Welcome to another episode of Talkin' Tone. I'll be your host, Dave Pops Clements. With me today, again, my good buddy Tariqh Akoni. We're going to be discussing the Radial Firefly Direct Box.
Yeah.
It's a tube direct box, and it's something that the two of us have been talking about for a while, actually. And,
yeah.
We have quite a number of friends that already have them for a number of years.
Yes.
We're just slow to get on the on the train, so to speak.
Well, we actually talked about, I don't know if you remember this, but we talked about a couple of tours ago getting a Firefly for Andre.
Andre, right.
Yes, because we were talking about tube DIs for bass and whatnot, and
right.
Nathan East had told me about these, and Nathan freaked out so much over these DIs that he actually wrote a song on the most recent Foreplay record called Firefly.
I got to tell you, I'm the tube guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I go back a long ways with tube directs. You know, back with John Hyatt, we used Demeter tube pre's for acoustic guitars. And you and I have been discussing how to get the ultimate acoustic guitar tone for a lot of years. And we've tried a lot of different things together.
Well, and I think that one of the things that, you know, it was interesting as we started talking about it, because, you know, in our conversations, we were kind of going back and forth. Because in my mind, you know, a couple of things. Like in my mind, playing acoustic guitar in this environment, like in an arena environment and whatnot, or we're doing larger theaters for this Stages tour, excuse me, it's a different mindset than I think when you're doing club stuff or you're doing stuff where you have to be a little more self-contained and you don't know the monitor engineer or the front of house engineer you're working with. So I had gone, I mean, I used to use, I always approached it from a solo acoustic guitar player mindset. So I would sit there and go, what is Ed Gerhard using? What is, you know, Brian Sudding using? What is, you know, what are these guys using?
Right.
And so I had gone through the, you know, old Raven Labs, you know, stuff. I'd gone through the LR Bags Parody Eye. I'd gone through the DTAR system. All of them great.
Right.
But then you and I were talking about how to get more of a, like, studio quality, like, best way to represent the electronics that are in these guitars, and we were starting to look at like those DIs and the UA stuff and some of the other things. And I had I don't know if you brought it up or I had, but I remember I knew about the Fishman, the Radial, the Firefly. Excuse me. I knew about the Firefly. I knew Nathan had raved about it. I had heard it at the NAMM show and freaked out because Rick Farabracci was playing it at the NAMM show, and I had actually plugged in. And Peter Janis actually, thanks to Peter and to and Dave,
Shu, our buddy Shu.
He had plugged me into it at the NAMM show, and I kept thinking about it, and so we dove into this idea of like, well, what if we built the rig around the Firefly and realized that we could just use 2 and get 4 outputs. So anyway, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent. But yeah, sorry.
It's kind of what happens with us.
I know, exactly.
I mean, there's so much information and so little time.
I know.
You know, it's like, whoa, how do we move on? We go down this avenue.
Yes.
But, the whole radio thing, we had been talking about it to Shu, you know, for years. And I've been trying to express to you about building a rig that we could use, and this is the rig we're using.
Yes. Yeah.
And as we'd been talking about building a compact rig that when you're home, that you could possibly take it out to live gigs. And it wouldn't be a great big huge rack. This is a 4-space rack, shock mount, all self-contained, very small. It's not very deep. It's only about 14 inches deep. Doesn't weigh very much.
Yeah.
And something that would be really good in the studio.
Yes, absolutely.
That you could take into Conway or wherever.
Absolutely.
And Ocean Way and just record with.
Absolutely.
Really great studio grade. So it's what we came up with. Now another big factor has been our front of house team and our monitor team, and they've been begging for years. Could you just give us a direct signal?
Yes, and this was part of my concern with that was, this is going to sound horrible, but in most environments you find yourself, I mean, we work with a lot of monitor guys and front of house guys, and they're all great in their own way, but as guitar players and as musicians, it's such a personal thing that your sound that you're like, I want to carry my stuff with me in my backyard. I just want to give you 2 lines and know it's good.
And that's it.
Yeah, but I got to say, we got Mickey and Cookie out with us, Mickey Beck and Chris Cookie Hoff, and they're both great. But one of the things that I hadn't thought about, and you kind of turned my head around with this, was the idea that they have $100,000 more boards out there, and I'm trying to trying to sculpt EQ with like a, some odd $100 box,
right?
Versus the idea of giving them the best signal I can,
direct,
and then they can, because he has different needs in front of house than Cookie does,
right?
So if I'm giving them something where, let's say I'm cutting out at 250, suddenly he's got to boost 250 in front of house and boost noise, versus being able to really do what he wants. And I got to say, the thing that kind of blew me away almost the most with these was Mickey saying, Tariqh, I don't know what to do with that. Like, in a good way. He's like, he goes, normally I know what to grab, but I feel like that's such a great sound coming out of the box. And the other thing I want to say is the benefit, like, I used to not like that sound when I'd hear people going into just like a U5 or something like that.
Right.
But also the new electronics that are in some of these guitars sound so good.
They do.
That's all I want to give them,
Right. Yeah. And the Taylor, speaking of that, where our good buddy Tim Godwin.
Yes.
Got a Taylor, and we've been using Taylor stuff. Well, you have actually. I call it we because I'm the guy that's there making it work. But known Tim for a lot of years. And we had tried to use him in the past, and with our system, both of us agreeing that the old Martin sounded better.
Yes.
Or this or that. So this time around, we were really anxious to hear what it was going to be.
Yes.
Just straight in.
Yes.
And I got to tell you, we talk about the guys having 2 Digico consoles and all the plugins.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Amazing EQs, and we can do all that, but we've yet to use any.
That's the amazing thing. And I got to say, like, my relationship with Taylor, I had tried some of their guitars with the original Expression system. And I always thought it was great if you were going like right into a Countryman or something like that. I mean, and it never got me exactly where I wanted to go. But this Expression System 2 freaked me out. Like I feel like, me, I can be a little weird with that stuff. And it freaked me out to where there's one song on the new record where the acoustic was so exposed, and I was like, this has to be like a big, beautiful acoustic guitar sound.
Right up in your face.
Yeah, and when I got the first, and it's the 600 series, and I'm sorry, let me go back a step. It was at the NAMM show. I'd actually gone to the NAMM show and I saw Tim, and he's like, Tariqh, you got to check out the new 600 series. So I went and played him, and I was kind of floored. But you're at the NAMM show, so you're like, oh, we'll see.
Right.
So then I was in LA doing like a TV thing, and I'm like, you know what? Let's see if they have it at Center Staging and check it out. And I plugged it in, man, and I was like, this is ridiculous. And so I actually wrote Robin Stout and Tim and said, listen, I'm gonna, I want to get one of these. I want to trigger. Yeah, I want to pull the trigger because I'm so blown away, and it has been such an incredible. I mean, I gotta say, it's like you and I are both.
It's
purists.
crazy. It's crazy.
And we're both purists. Like we're both like, well, I've got my old this and I've got this and yet, but that has been crazy.
It's from the first time we turned it on. It's just like, oh my.
Yes.
Okay, well, let's try EQ in this, and we did with Cookie. Let's try this. Okay, take the EQ out.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll just leave the EQ out.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's blowing me away. I mean, the radials are.
Yeah.
They're a huge part of it.
Absolutely.
Definitely a huge part of it. And the tube sound. It's not over the top. It's subtle.
Yes.
But it's very round.
Well, and it's been interesting to see. We work with like top. I mean, on the road right now, we've got top monitor, front of house, audio crew. And I've watched their heads get turned around. And the cool thing for me is everybody appreciates and respects radio. Like if you see radio gear on stage, you're like, this isn't going to be a problem.
Yeah. Everything.
And the Firefly is part of a long lineage of great, well-made, and we were talking about rugged construction. There was no fear in my mind. It's like these things are built like tanks. But the sound is so remarkably like punchy, round, warm, like all that stuff you want. And I've watched the guys just like their heads get turned around, and and audio engineers, I don't think that they would be surprised. I'd say that a lot of them are curmudgeons. I think they actually take it as a compliment. So to see them really turn around and go, that is a good day.
It's effortless.
Absolutely.
On a daily basis. Every day I turn them on, I go through the lines. We don't even listen to them anymore.
No.
We just check the line
Exactly.
and go for rehearsal. And it's just there, knock on wood.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just there every day. It's very consistent.
Oh, yeah. And I used to do like all sorts of processing. Like I used to have, my it was a great system, but I used to have the system with effects loop because I had my own reverbs and like my own EQ, and I was like had a parametric, and I was like dialing
compressor.
Yeah, exactly. Had a whole
right.
that's why the rack was 10 spaces.
I know.
And now it's like this has become the rack.
I know.
And it's been just unbelievably consistent and strong. And
let's just talk about how we design the signal path a little bit.
Yeah.
Myself,
Yes.
I'm always the guy who has to lay it out. You go, here's what we need to do.
Yes.
Okay, so Mickey says I need 4 discrete lines.
Yes.
We have 4 instruments. So I have to make those work. Without having 4 discrete radial DIs, I came up with a little solution, although it's a little odd. We actually, on the back end of these, because the radial has 2 inputs, right? It has a trim for each one, and you can select between the 2 with a button right on the front of the unit. So they're really laid out very well. It has a master on it. So I can send a master out. What I've done is matched them on both units. So you can have 4 discrete inputs, totally discrete.
Yes.
And the way I access those is through the RJM audio switcher. It's an RG16. Now, this is one of the older units.
Yes.
And we've had it for quite a while, but it sounds really great. And it actually allows us to do different things as far as accessing inputs and actually routing those inputs to outputs.
Yes.
Okay, so when we have a wireless system, we're not using a wireless in this tool, we're only using a cable. But
Which we love.
But yeah. And when we have the wireless, I can have wireless 1, wireless 2, and a cable. And I put the cable in the front end of the RG16, so it's always in. So you can either access it from the button, or it just feeds through. It automatically, on the input side, it feeds through. So then I can access any of these individual outputs where it routes it to the inputs of the Radial Firefly. And this is another whole thing about cable links. People get all squirrely and crazy about you can't go more than 23 feet or 15 feet, or you start losing this or this. And we had a little ear taste in rehearsal where I have a cable that's probably 50 feet, just the input. That's coming from the stage to the input here. Then I send that signal 50 to 75 feet in one direction and back again. So
it's like a 200 something feet
of signal flow. With no wireless or no line driver. Amazing. It sounds great. And we're not scraping up a ton of noise at the radials. I've matched the outputs. They're a fair ways up because we don't want too much input, so we don't accumulate some distortion. Like a tube amp. It's like a pregame on a tube amp. So I got to tell you, it works out great. So on the output side of these, we chose the Radial JS2. And what that does is it takes one single output and sends it to 2 discrete channels on the output. So at least they can have 4 discrete lines, even though 2 and 2 show up at one time. Right. They still are 4 mic lines, and they can route those at the consoles. And it seems to work out so far. The JS2, a big decision there is, talking to Shu, my first question was, well, I can get a much cheaper splitter that is transformer balanced. However, are your units Jensen transformer balanced? The answer, yes. Radial owns Jensen.
Exactly.
Hello.
Exactly.
So right there, our decision, we're looking for the best audio quality possible. Again, not only for live, but to take into a studio.
Well, I got to say, it's the great combination of audio fidelity, rugged construction, because once again, it's like we're on the road. We're going all over the world. I mean, we're going to be in Australia and South Africa next year. But also this functionality of the fact that you can actually switch between the inputs. You can also have an impedance selection. So I know one of the things that Nathan East loved about it was he could take one of these and play his upright and his electric, match volume levels, and just A/B between them going to one output to the front of the house. So it's a great unit for that. And then coupled with the JS2s in back, like one of the reasons why our audio engineer wants to have 4 outputs is because that way he doesn't have to share EQ for my Taylor steel string versus my other steel string or my different nylon strings. Each one can have a specified place. And I got to say, one of the things I love about you and working with you, and also how we work together is a lot of people who I think enter into this field. It's like there's a lot of trial and error to kind of figure out what makes the most sense, what works best, and also you read these articles, and those guys, they're better at writing articles than actually knowing, knowing what you need on the road. Because you need these things that are functional but provide incredible audio quality. So knowing, listen, we need to make sure it's Jensen's transformers. We got to make sure that we've got these discrete inputs and whatnot. And things that, once again, I think a lot of people miss. Things that come to bite you in the ass later, a lot of people miss on the front side of it. And then to be able to put it in a 4-space rack where, it's like...
It's compact,
Yeah, and once again, this is the best acoustic guitar sound I think I've had on a tour like this. And once again, we've used a bunch of different stuff, and I've gotten like a lot of compliments in the past for different systems I've had. But this was the first one where I felt like I was getting what I wanted, front of house was getting what they wanted. I wasn't giving them something where they were like, gosh, I wish I could just take that off or whatnot. And it's been really, really amazing. Yeah.
Thrilled. I'm just totally thrilled. You know what we should do? We should put a guitar through, and we're going to track.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And we're going to start off with a Taylor acoustic. Yeah. We'll start off with the 618E.
Yeah.
And let's do a little tracking and let everybody hear what they actually sound like.
Sure. I think it sounds
awesome.
Great.
Okay, so there you have it.
Yeah.
We did 2 tracks. We used the Taylor 618E to do some tracking.
Yes.
And the Yamaha GC31, which is, I call the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
It's got its own nice hard shell case. It goes everywhere with you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And, that one just always freaks me out. Oh, my God. Oh, my God, something's wrong. I got to go inside and fix it. Oh, crap.
That's the one that's like travel.
Scares me, but it just sounds amazing.
It does. I actually did a thing for Yamaha All Access magazine last year, and one of the pictures they took is they had a picture of the case because it's been all over the world that just beat up because it's like that's the one that because that's the one I'm center stage. It's got to happen.
And that's one of the old Westwood hard shell cases.
Oh yeah, man.
Flight cases. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
So we just tracked straight into Pro Tools. Right. We did 2 channels of each guitar.
Yeah.
Using the Radial Firefly, a DN3 compressor. That's it. No
and
EQ.
I ran both EQs just completely flat, just because I wanted to make sure that there was an understanding of like this is what it sounds like just coming out of the guitar. Obviously, you can adjust those things and sweeten in different places, but I want to make sure that people could hear what that sounded like.
Right. We want to just express how great the Firefly is.
Yes.
I mean, it's killing.
Yeah.
No EQ at all. Just, I mean.
Absolutely, just right out of the box.
You know, it's crazy. So again, we want to thank Radial.
Yeah, Peter Janis.
Absolutely.
And
our
Shu.
buddy Shu, who expedited these here, and it had me worried sick because I'm on a Friday night building the thing. Is it on yet? Is it on yet? Is it on yet?
Yes.
Solder. We got to load out in 24 hours, solder. Anyways, we did it, and here it is. It's all great.
Yeah.
Again, thank you so much, Radio.
Yeah, thank you so much.